It started on the morning of my wedding, about 10 minutes before I was supposed to walk out and meet Clara at the altar. I was alone in the vestry of St. Jude's, adjusting my tie in a tall mirror that made the room feel narrower than it already was. The place smelled like floor polish and old stone, the kind of scent that never really leaves a building, no matter how many times you clean it. I remember staring at myself, trying to steady my breathing, telling myself the tightness in my chest was just nerves. But it didn't feel like nerves. It felt heavier than that, like the air itself was pressing in. Julian, my best man, had stepped out to check on the guests, so it was just me in that room. Quiet. Too quiet, actually. The kind of silence where you start noticing things you shouldn't. That's when I heard it. A soft, wet, dragging sound coming from the vent near the floor. I froze and listened, trying to convince myself it was just old pipes or something shifting behind the walls. This was an old church, after all. Sounds travel in places like that. But then it came again, clearer this time, like something was slowly pulling itself across a damp surface. I crouched down before I could stop myself and leaned toward the vent. It was completely dark inside, deeper than it should have been, like the light just didn't reach far enough. The sound stopped the moment I got close. I stayed there for a second, listening, my heart pounding harder than it should have been. When nothing else happened, I stood up quickly and let out a dry laugh, trying to shake it off. I told myself I was just overthinking it. Then I glanced back at the mirror. For a split second, something was wrong. My reflection looked off. My skin had this grey tone to it, and my eyes looked wider than they should, like I'd been staring too long without blinking. It didn't even feel like I was looking at myself. It felt like something else was trying to look back through me. I blinked, and it snapped back to normal. That should have been the moment I left the room, but I didn't. I just avoided the mirror after that and sat down to put on my shoes, trying to focus on something simple. That's when the temperature dropped. Not slowly, not gradually. 1 second the room was normal. The next my breath was visible in front of me. The cold hit so fast it made my chest tighten, like I'd stepped into a freezer. I looked around, confused, and then I heard the floor beneath me shift. Not a creak, not a crack, something heavier, slower, like weight moving under the boards. I looked down and saw something dark spreading along the baseboard. At first I thought it was just a shadow, but then it moved toward me, thick and glossy, catching the light in a way shadows don't. It was liquid, black, slow and crawling across the floor. The smell hit me a second later, and it turned my stomach immediately. It smelled like stagnant water, like a river that hadn't moved in years, mixed with something rotten underneath. I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't move. It felt like my feet had locked into the floor, like something was holding me in place. Then something tapped on the window behind me. I turned slowly, already knowing I didn't want to see what was there. A hand was pressed against the glass. Pale, swollen, the skin wrinkled like it had been soaked for far too long. One finger lifted and tapped lightly against the window again, slow and deliberate. There was no face behind it, no body, just the hand. I stumbled backward and hit the bench. My eyes locked on the floor as the black liquid reached my shoes. It didn't soak into them. It climbed upwards as if gravity didn't apply to it. Then it started to take shape. A figure pulled itself out of the darkness, tall and thin, the outline of a woman forming piece by piece. Her dress hung from her like it had been dragged through deep water, heavy and torn, clinging to her frame. Where her face should have been, there was nothing but a dark hollow that seemed to swallow the light around it. She moved toward me slowly, her arm lifting, fingers stretching out. When she touched me, the cold wasn't just on my skin, it felt like it went straight through me. Then she spoke. It wasn't a normal voice. It sounded like air trying to escape through water. She said my name, and then she said, "You promised." Everything went black after that. Julian told me later that when he came back, the room looked completely normal. The window was still locked, the light was still shining through the stained glass, and nothing seemed out of place, except I was gone. They searched for 4 days before they found me in Blackwood Creek, about a mile from the church. I was standing in the water, waist deep, completely still, staring at the bank like there was something there only I could see. They didn't respond when they called my name. I didn't react when they came closer. The sheriff had to wade in and grab me, and he said my body felt wrong, stiff and cold, like I'd been in that water far longer than anyone could survive. My hand was clenched tight, so tight they had to force it open. Inside, I was holding a ring. It was old, gold and tarnished, covered in mud and something that looked like it had been stuck to it for years. After that, I never spoke again. Not to the doctors, not to the people who came to see me, not even to Clara. Until the day she visited. She sat beside me and took my hand, trying to get me to look at her, trying to bring me back. For months, nothing had worked. I hadn't reacted to anything. But when she touched me, something shifted. I turned my head and looked straight at her, and I spoke. I told her, "She's still wearing the other one." Clara pulled her hand away immediately, and when I looked down at my own hand, the ring was gone. In its place was a dark bruise around my finger, perfectly shaped, like something had been there long enough to leave a permanent mark. And just before she left the room, from somewhere down the hallway, I heard that same sound again. Slow, wet, dragging, getting closer.